Of course, we're yeah, that's sort of progressing that way. But with textbooks, who wants to read a textbook out loud? That's the big question.
I know that and we haven't rolled this out for our part-time MBAs, but our EMBAs get a laptop and an iPad, and we put all the textbooks
Both.
on the
Look at
iPad.
that. Wow, that's big news.
That was rolled out this year, especially for when they go abroad.
All right, I think
They
we
love
might go ahead and get started.
And we gave them the
Seems like,
iPad. We sent that to them
good on
shortly
for the
before
time and
Christmas.
folks join. That's great.
Made them very happy.
All right. Well, thank you for coming to our session. Certainly appreciate the attention to kind of learning more about technology, learning about some of the things that are happening from a digital perspective. The title of this session is called Enhancing the Student Experience with Interactive Course Material. And so we're very excited to share with you. I did want to say this is my first time to be at this conference, and I've had the opportunity to travel to EMBA conferences and campus technology forums, and the neat thing that I see about this conference is that it's growing in numbers, and that's a great testament for what Tammy and Tony and others have done to really create great sessions and create a community that's very collaborative and sharing. I think when we were starting to put together the slide deck, it was one of the things that's neat about being dynamic is that you can add things on the fly, and it's one of those days today. It's kind of like 9/11, where you think about where you were when Steve Jobs died, and it's kind of ironic that we're actually at a technology show talking about technology. And I think the quote that I actually heard on the news this morning was something that I wanted to kind of, it inspires me, and it kind of, I think can inspire all of us, is basically to have the courage to follow your dreams and your intuition, kind of like what Steve Jobs has done throughout his career. And he'll certainly be missed, but he certainly has changed the way that we all kind of operate. And so it's neat to have a discussion kind of piggybacking upon a lot of the great things that Steve Jobs has done. As far as some of the things that we were talking about in preparing for this conference, I went out to Wordle. I don't know if you all are familiar with that service, but it basically allows you to create a word cloud. And we created a word cloud based upon the conference's, the Graduate Business School's website, and keying in on some key themes, some key words. Some of the things that did kind of strike out to me is certainly the focus on the students, the various programs, the opportunities, the interaction, the services. So what we wanted to do today is going to kind of share how technology can be integrated with a lot of the student services that you all provide, and have this be a session where we can kind of learn from each other, collaborate. We are going to have a panel discussion toward the end and talk specifically about what schools are doing. But the also theme, kind of piggybacking on the theme for the conference, is there's an app for that. And I think if there was an app that would be relevant in the market today is, hey, is there an app that helps you recruit students? And is that a way that you can leverage technology to do so? Me personally, I kind of ask you all, if you could create an app, what would your app be? It seems as if we live in an app world. What would be that one app that would be exciting for you? For me, personally, I'd like to make an app that forces the Broncos to play Tim Tebow. It's one of those discussions in Denver where I'm from. It happens daily on the radio, and so I know somebody's out there probably creating an app that will kind of force the hand of making the Broncos play Tim Tebow. But we live in an app world, and everybody's thinking from a personalized perspective, what app is going to be beneficial to you? I guess to also kind of set the stage, my name is Doug Kinney, and I'm Director of Sales for the West for Xanadu. I live out in Denver, and I work with the sales team, basically kind of west of the Mississippi. I've been with Xanadu for a little over a year. Prior to that, I've been in sales and management for 20 years. And so you'll have to kind of understand where I'm coming from a sales perspective. But I look at folks that are in student services as also being in the sales profession in some sense, recruiting students, making sure that students are happy. If you have happy students, it ultimately results in getting referrals and bringing in new students. And so I look at it from a sales perspective is what you all do. But it's exciting for me to think about how to implement technology. And prior to coming to Xanadu, I was actually with Pearson and E-College for 4 years. So I understand where things are headed from a publishing perspective too, and I hope to share some insight and some experiences as well. Also, I wanted to note that we'll certainly make this deck available to you, so you don't have to feverishly write. But we certainly just give myself or Kelly a card when we're done with the session, or just let us know and we'll shoot out the deck to you so you can use this. I think one of the things that's helpful is that we can provide you with information that you can use on your campuses, because you're going to be the folks that are out there leading the discussion. Folks are going to come up to you and say, hey, what are the demands for students from a technology perspective? And you can share some of the industry knowledge, some of the knowledge that you'll gain from some of your peers within this conference. You can leverage what we've come up with on the slide decks and hopefully help to kind of lead the discussion. So that's my introduction. I did want to introduce my colleague, Kelly Ice.
Sure. So I'm Kelly Ice. I'm the account executive. I run the Southwest region for Xanadu, which pretty much compromises 6 states, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, Louisiana, New Mexico, and I also do all international for Xanadu as well. Today, as Doug mentioned through our agenda, we're going to do just a quick Did You Know session. A little bit of tidbits about the marketplace, some trends, some student trends, what we're seeing about technology, a little bit about the campus digital trends, business school trends that we see. We work with about 2,200 schools across the world, so we're in schools quite a bit. We see things across the nation, and it's really neat to see what kind of one group is doing versus what another group is doing, or what's the East Coast doing versus the West Coast, or what are we doing in the South that they're not doing in the North, and so forth and so on. Then the shared opportunity, and then quickly our Folio X product that really helps bring the collaboration to the students, and it's really going to help with the panel here. They've both fully enlisted our products with their students, the whole digital suite of content for them, and then their discussion as well.
And so just so we can make an introduction now, we'll certainly have them speak a little later, but we've got Tammy Coronella with Arizona State University and Liz Tussey with Rice. So we thank them for their participation. They'll kind of share. And I think the goal really today is to kind of educate, to kind of entertain you all, and also engage you in a discussion to kind of share information. So with that, I'll go ahead and pass it around to Kelly, and we'll kind of jump through some slides.
Sure. So did you know China will soon become the #1 English-speaking country in the world? The great thing about this is the internet has really bridged the gap and broke down a lot of the barriers between, the Western and Eastern civilization, if you will. More interaction, more things are coming from China, more China is being brought into the U.S. And not only just in materials, but also students. Now we're able to pool the international students. I mean, I work with some universities that are almost exclusively, their higher ed programs are all Chinese. It's a foreign program. They bring them over here, they study in the States to send them back. More than 3,000 new books are published every day. Think about how much new content is being out there. Pictures, media, music, digital files. It's just everything is now turning into a digital something or other, whether you're pulling your music from iTunes or you're getting your movies from Netflix. It's just growing and growing and growing every day, new and new. So it's estimated that 40 exabytes, that's right, 4 to the 19th power of unique new information will be generated worldwide in this year alone, and exponentially growing. Again, Netflix put Blockbuster out of business with their digital delivery of material. You've got the new way that Amazon is pulling out books digitally. You're starting to see a lot of the bookstores or the brick and mortar stores closing down because everyone's moving to a digital platform or a digital sense. And a lot of us do see is the students that are coming in are already on this digital platform and moving away from the traditional text or the traditional way that they've always learned. They want a new dynamic way. They want something that they can interact with, they can touch. They want that instant gratification of being, I want to put a question in and I want an immediate response, an immediate answer. And that's where the technology and digital world is taking us. So it's more in the past 5,000 years combined, we're getting data for 1 year, or new technology. So the amount of new technology information is doubling now every 2 years. And again, I think we're going to see this grow exponentially as, technology changes and times change. The new supercomputers. When did we ever think that we would actually have a computer on our phone? Searching the internet. I mean, it just wasn't fathomable, 5, 10 years ago. So the amount of digital information worldwide will increase 44 times between now and 2020. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. Trying to wrap your mind around, these students that are coming in are going to be so advanced from where we all started. How do we keep up? So almost, how do you keep up with the Joneses? So the number of text messages sent and received every day exceeds the total population of the planet. As I think on the next slide here, 87% of all teenagers text. They send on average 3,339 text messages a month. So as we're talking about communicating with students, yesterday in the session, they were talking, how did you get a hold of their student? Well, I sent them a personal text. And I know my little brother is the same way. He'll never call me, but he'll text me. Or if I leave him a message, he'll text me. Or any, a lot of our friends are the same way. As you've seen this millennial group, and I don't know about the rest of you. I text quite a bit, but I'd still rather pick up the phone and make a phone call first. That's I guess maybe just the Gen Xer. So there's over 2.7 billion searches performed on Google each month. We're living in exponential times. Today, 7 billion people on the planet. What's interesting about this, 5 billion cell phones out there. And what's even funnier about this, today more people have access to a mobile phone than they do a clean toilet. And, it's just the world that we live in. And I mean, how many times have you left the house and left your phone at home and turned around and go back to get your phone because you're so tethered to that technology that you have to have it? I can tell you I can't leave anywhere without my phone. It's, I don't want to say a crutch, but it almost is. I always have to be connected. So then the smartphones, as we're seeing, the U.S. is growing 4% a year, Russia's growing 31% a year, China 29%, India. So it's just, it's a growing and growing and growing revolution. And you see a lot of people too, it's not just one device or two devices. Now you've got your iPhone, your iPads, your iPods. Students and folks, the younger generations, they want that technology. They want to be completely involved and absorbed in everything that they do all day long. So the mobile app downloads, in 2009 there were 300 million. 2010, just this last year, again, 5 billion mobile app downloads. And I would assume that this year is probably going to exponentially grow again, or probably be close to 10 billion. So how many of you have Angry Birds? So 250 million downloads of Angry Birds, one of the #1 loaded apps from the App Store. And it's just a fun game that everyone takes off. Even my little 3-year-old can get on my iPad and he'll play Angry Birds for hours. And it's, free. And, or even to the digital age now, to where they can get on Netflix and he'll pull down a Thomas the Train movie and sit there and watch, Thomas the Train. And it just blows my mind that, the smaller, youngest people are now understanding the technology. So, how do we develop that? How do we bring that into our schools with the students? How do we keep our students involved and ongoing and educated to keep their interest piqued? And so for students starting at a 4-year technical or college degree, that means half of what they've learned in the first year of study will be outdated by the 3rd year they're in school. You think about the changes that we've had, the traditional print. By the time that a lot of these programs have started with the digital, it's already shifted into another paradigm of now an interactive digital. So what they started with is now completely evolved into something else. Within 2 years, as we saw the studies, it's going to be changing again. It's going to be ever interactive and changing. So the top 10 demand jobs in 2010 did not exist in 2004. So what does this all mean? Yeehaw! There's an app for that.
Right, so
I'll hand it on over to Doug there.
thanks. I guess I just wanted to kind of highlight a couple of trends that I think we've kind of addressed to some degree, but I think they're also kind of important to reinforce. I think that the key themes is that certainly things are moving to the cloud. We see that a lot of trends are being able to sync the various devices, access information through the internet. That's what students are looking for. That's what they expect. They expect to access the information 24/7. You know, have constant access to the information and have everything be real time. You know, the texting is a perfect example. It's a real-time interaction. It's collaboration. It's a new way of communicating. But that's the way that the world is moving. I think also folks are moving more toward a mobile perspective. And I think what's neat about that is that phones are so dynamic now. They have the capability to do just about anything. So it's certainly, we see that trend continuing and moving in that direction. I think to highlight the point with regards to globalization, certainly I think we're lowering barriers from languages, being able to translate, being able to attract students from all over the world for the various programs is a trend that's going to continue. We continue to expand and provide the best education, so we're very attractive for foreign students. I think the tablet, the iPad has revolutionized the industry. There are companies coming out with new tablets constantly, and it will be a continuing trend that there will be more faster, more applications, more capabilities. I think the explosion of apps, creating a personal app, an app on campus. I was at a technology forum last week in Long Beach, and I saw one of the coolest apps. They actually are developing apps on campus that allows students to check in. And if they're in an economics building, you'll be able to see the folks that are in the economics building, what they're thinking about, what class they are, and all through a visualization on your phone leveraging GPS. They're going to be able to go into the lunchroom and to see what are the specials, or it's very dynamic applications that create that community on campus, and that's what we see is happening. These various apps to create more collaboration and engagement for students. I think the neat thing about what a cell phone can do, or a computer, is that you really have the ability to personalize it for yourself, create your own preferences, and it really becomes a fun experience. I enjoy spending time on my iPad and personalizing it and making it mine. And so I think that trend will continue to grow. I think also looking at it from a content perspective is that there's always the challenge on how do you engage students. We've learned that students all have various different learning styles. Some folks like to listen, some are more visual, some like to experience. Content is now being created to cater to various learning styles that's so much more dynamic than what a textbook can provide. We see that trend will continue. And then finally, I think certainly there are students that make decisions based upon sustainability. We've seen that green campaigns on campuses can be very vibrant, and we see that the students are pushing toward digital from an environmental perspective, and we anticipate that will continue. As far as some of the campus trends, I've kind of broken it down basically into two main categories. Accessibility and collaboration. Those are really two trends that we see in the marketplace. The neat thing about Xanadu and how we're positioned is that we really started in the digital age about 12 years ago. And we came out with digital solutions that were, quite frankly, probably ahead of the time. And now what we're seeing is that students are moving more to digital. There's more of a demand because they're coming with various devices. You probably have students that come in with iPads, with Kindles. They want to use their specific personalized device. So what a lot of schools have come to us and said, hey, Xanadu, can you help us? We need to be able to meet the needs of our students, and we can't go out and support all these various devices. Can you come up with a solution that meets the needs of all of our students? So we're certainly seeing that drive for more accessibility. I think additionally, there still is that broad spectrum on campus of multiple formats. I'm still a traditionalist. I love to read the Sunday paper. There's something about it that I just enjoy, and I'll probably always read the Sunday paper. but when I'm traveling or whatever, I'll pull out my iPad and I'll read. But we understand that there are varying degrees of students on campus. Some students will like print, some students will like digital, and some students are 2 feet in and they're doing things that we can't even comprehend with regards to the course material. But the real goal is how do you meet the needs of that broad spectrum? And that's really one of the things that we focus on in providing that accessibility. I think thirdly is the integration. We see that on most campuses, they have a learning management system that really drives a lot of where they're trying to get the interaction with students. Just by show of hands, how many folks have a learning management system that they push content through that is okay, pretty much almost everything. So certainly we see that trend continue, and we want to be able to provide that seamless experience. What we find is that students don't want to be looking here and there for various content. They want to go to one single spot, find it, be able to access it, download it, and interact with it. As far as some statistics to kind of just keep in the back of your mind, the e-reading adoption is growing. It's certainly not taking over the market. About 15% of students report owning a e-reader device. If you look at what is the market share, Amazon Kindle is the one that's really it's still leading, but that's more of a consumer product and not necessarily an educational tool. I think the model's changing to some degree. I think the price point and others will make that more of a viable educational product, but certainly the growth is astronomical. Additionally, the Nook has been very successful. About 21% of those folks. The Apple iPhone, 17%, and then the iPad is 10%. How many of y'all, just for a show of hands, have an iPad? Okay. An iPhone? Okay. So the good majority of folks are kind of in that spectrum. And I think the feedback that we've also gotten from our accounts is about 90%, so similar sampling to the room, use a learning management system to kind of facilitate and help create the engagement. As far as just some additional kind of fun facts, digital books now outsell paper books on Amazon. I think it's something that's a trend that's very exciting. To have instant access to the course material is, I think, where we're headed. I think another thing that's kind of startling to me is right now the current pace. I think in June, 25 million iPads have been sold. What they predict is by 2015, 80 million iPads. So obviously, just revolutionizing, changing the industry. As far as also sharing some statistics as far as why is this happening? Why is there's such a big drive toward mobile? I kind of thought, okay, well, there's a lot of folks that use the phone in a traditional capacity. Certainly you might be searching for websites. You might be able to leverage your Outlook or send mail. But really, what's happening is that there's all this new activity that's happening on phones. It's being able to access GPS, maps, games, social networking. The amount of Facebook is just astronomical. This is where the market is headed, and this is where we're trying to help schools provide those additional capabilities. As far as looking at the success of technology, I think the key is the integration. The integration of having all of these great various aspects that are associated with a phone in a phone. So you don't hold multiple devices. I think where we're seeing it just explode is because of the integration with all of the various applications that folks are trying to leverage through the various devices. As far as the adoption, what we're finding, and Jenna kind of highlighted it last night, is certainly Facebook is driving a lot of behavior changes for students across campus, creating more of a community. So we look at that from a social perspective. It's the search perspective. It's amazing how I and probably all of you leverage Google to access information and use that. I can't remember the last time I looked at the yellow pages or anything that was kind of the old way of doing things. But Google is certainly just growing by leaps and bounds and becoming the predominant source for information, as well as mobile. These new devices, the apps are completely revolutionizing the industry. I've heard the terminology. Has anybody heard the terminology called so-lo-mo? This is a trend. What a lot of campuses are exploring is the social aspect of various communication devices. The low is for location. So location is the ability to track people through their various GPS in the phones and market proactively to them. And then the mo is the mobile application, being able to hit them wherever they are 24/7. You'll start to see that more as kind of a marketing buzzword as folks are going out to market to students. They're going to have a so-low-mo strategy, so it'll be kind of interesting to see how that evolves. As far as some of the campus trends, so we talked a little bit about the accessibility, being able to provide content anywhere. That's really the goal. The additional goal that we've seen from programs is to say, hey, can you make the experience better? And this is where we've leveraged partners like ASU and Rice and New York Stern and others. There's been, I think, over 25 various programs that we've worked with that have basically said, hey, we need help in engaging the students more, creating more collaboration, creating a community within our user groups. And so that's what we've developed, and what we didn't want to give a product demonstration. If you're interested in that, we'll certainly go through more detail, kind of on an individual basis, but we did want to kind of share with you what we're trying to do from a collaboration standpoint. As we talked about, there's so much multimedia, really engaging content. A lot of schools now will have video capture, lectures. They all want to be able to have that engagement, and so we're certainly empowering that with tools that will kind of enhance the interaction. We talked a little bit about conferencing, leveraging those tools. There's so much dynamic content on the internet, whether it's YouTube videos or spreadsheets, simulations. We're really trying to enable all of that material to be available in custom course packs, custom course readers, or digital course packs. Additionally, we feel that there needs to be the capability for a student to replicate or even make it almost have a better experience than reading a printed course pack. Certainly there will be those folks that like a printed course pack, want to highlight, add their notes, but we're also seeing the next generation that say, hey, let's do this dynamically. Let's make highlights, let's make notes, and be able to interact with the material and be able to print off, share it with others, and so we're enabling those types of interactions. We also have understood that students want to be able to save material. A lot of folks have programs that build upon it itself, and they might have a capstone course at the very end. The students really want to have a repository of all their material that they can access through their studies as well as throughout their professional career. And so that's really what we're trying to enable as well, is hey, let's give the students the information, let's let them search through it, let's let them use it to the best of their capabilities. As far as just to kind of give you a snapshot of what our perspective is in the marketplace, about 50% of the programs are incorporating digital course material right now. And that trend is going up almost every semester. So it's certainly something, if you're dipping your toe in the water, great. If you're midstream, you're wonderful, and if you're both feet in, that's fabulous. We are excited about the opportunity to work with you and kind of understand your situation, because every campus is different. Every campus has their own unique circumstances, and we can't implement a cookie-cutter approach. So as far as kind of looking at the broad spectrum of the market, again, you all are tasked with kind of preparing students for jobs that don't even exist. Using technology in the future of things that haven't been created yet. What's the new Facebook? What are all of these new things that are going to be, be introduced? Is your program positioned so that they can incorporate technology? How do you incorporate new technology? Do you have plans in doing so? Do you test it? So we'll get some feedback with regards to those. What I think is exciting is it's a new way of thinking. It's a new way of thinking for students, that they don't necessarily have to memorize information anymore. It's a matter of how can you think critically, how can you solve problems, and I think that's what we're empowering our students to do, and I think course material is a key component for that. As far as the shared opportunity, what we've identified is that we really need to implement solutions that meet the needs of varying students. You know, we've got large spectrums on every single campus that we can't just, provide solutions to the middle. We really need to provide solutions so that every student can be successful. We also want to make sure that we're integrating content with the existing legacy systems, making sure that it's a good, seamless experience for the students. While enhancing the community. We know that that's part of your goal, is to have the students learn from each other. Gone are the days of the sage on the stage, where it's the professor knows all. I think the students are learning more from each other than in some instances they're learning from the professors. We're also getting feedback from programs that they really want to implement technology to be positioned as a leader in the community. We've heard programs give us feedback to say, hey, we've had students choose us because we've gone out and done demonstrations on our program on iPads. And that's really powerful. You sit in the room with a student and says, hey, this is what our program looks like. And they say, wow, you guys are integrating textbook. Or you guys are integrating digital course material, really exciting things. This is going to help me be more successful in my professional career. And that's a great way to position your program. Certainly can benefit from a recruiting standpoint. I think there's also the strategies on, a lot of programs come to us and say, hey, we can't support this. This is crazy. We can't, what happens if a student has an iPad and, we can't support them. So it's a collaborative effort from our part. How can we support your students? How can we train folks on campus to implement this new technology and have it be successful? The last thing we want to do is launch a strategy and not have it work. So it's a collaborative effort. And I think the most important thing is it's constantly changing. We talked about how we live in exponential times. Things are different today than they were yesterday. It's something that you have to constantly be evaluating. And one of the things I love about Tammy's program is that they constantly get feedback from students. They are your best resource to tell you the directions that they need to go. And if you're active in getting feedback from the students, involving them in the process, they've helped us develop our app to meet their needs. If you consistently get that feedback from the students, they're going to make your program better. They're going to make their experience better. I think I added this quote. I think this is one that kind of hits home with me. It's survival is an option. It is an option, but I think the folks that want to succeed and really are going to succeed is that they have to be adaptable to change. That's the one I think constant in this world, is that there is going to be change, and we have to position our programs, position our capabilities to be amenable and plan proactively for that change. As far as some graduate business technology trends, certainly encourage the use of digital devices. I think this only furthers education, or furthers the communication, furthers the interaction among students. Additionally, allow the programs to create content that students can search through, that they can access through their duration of their studies, and access throughout their professional careers. But we've also had programs that have said, hey, we've got dynamic content that our faculty have created. We've got content that some of these great publishers have created. We need to all have it be in one spot. We can't have them jumping here and there. We want a seamless experience. Help us create this dynamic learning environment that meets the needs of all these various learning styles. We also understand that oftentimes folks will go to a physical campus because they enjoy the relationship that they're developing with their classmates. I still am good friends with a lot of folks that I went to college with. It's still a valuable aspect on campus, and we want to make sure that we're leveraging technology to enable and enhance that experience. Additionally, there's a lot of coordination now across multiple disciplines. There's multiple, there's a new trend to have a healthcare MBA, combined degrees. We want to be able to have the experience be similar for those students. So a lot of the capabilities that we have is to allow that content to be similar across the entire campus. And we talked a little about integration with the next technologies and some of the enhanced functionalities, but I think there's also the trend that is really driving the adoption, and this is the ability to reduce cost. it's pretty simple to think about in the sense that if you move to a digital strategy, you're eliminating the production cost. The production cost can be anywhere between 20 and 30% of the printing of the pack, the distribution, the shipping of the course material. The going digital has so many advantages. It's instant access. I heard a great concept at the EMBA conference in the West that they talked about that they will actually share course material with prospective students, get them engaged, get them starting to visualize themselves in that program. And it's kind of like the puppy dog clothes. You kind of give somebody a puppy and they like it so much that they don't want to give it back. You give folks a taste of what the experience is like and they enjoy it. It really helps kind of close a lot of the sales situation. So certainly I think it provides some capabilities there. As far as Xanadu, we work with them. I think it's 2,200 institutions across the country. And certainly one of our main niches is business school programs. Here's a couple of logos of some folks that you might recognize. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to Kelly and he'll talk a little bit more about kind of Xanadu, how we're positioned, and then we'll jump into more of a kind of a panel discussion.
Sure. So with FolioX, the way that we look at it is we're providing digital content or integrative content into your students or for the students that are coming, to the schools and the programs. We wanted to take an approach that would allow the most traditional person, that still enjoys the print, the older group. And as we're seeing the older group starting to phase out and the millennials come in, they want to see the increased convenience. They want to see the engagement. They want to, what's the competitiveness of the program. So we're allowing it to as a step up, so you have the millennials that can come in and directly get all the materials and technology on that handheld device, whether, it's their iPad, the Android, their laptop, however they want it. And then, of course, scale it back to the traditionalist or the one that may not be as ready to jump that far. They're scared of technology. Maybe they just want to come on and get into Blackboard and click through the links and get the materials, just like they always have, because that's what they're comfortable with. One of the things we look at to do is to be able to enable and enhance the program to meet all the levels of their students within that program. So it's not like an all in or an all out. It's, let the students decide, how fast and far they want to grow. We just help make it available to them all up front at once. So our digital custom publishing FolioX model allows multiple devices, allows students to be able to take notes, highlights, and collaborate with their students directly on their device. As they're taking notes, especially in like group settings or group projects, they can divide out cases. Each student can take a section of that portion and they can send those notes to their cohorts or colleagues or friends, or if the faculty wants to get in and make their own notes and send it out to the class, they can do that as well. And then the other students will get it, they import it on their device, and then it shows up as the notes from their other colleague or the professor. And I know Rice has been using it quite a bit, and I'm sure you guys have as well. But we co-designed this with extensive student input. As Doug mentioned, I think we were 1,200 students in the pilot, over a dozen universities that we tested this with. And it was from their input of how we went back and go. I mean, we had a strategy, what we thought the market wanted, and then we did a poll and realized, whoa, that's not what the market wants at all. So we kind of shifted our gears to say, hey, this is what you guys want. This is what your students are asking for, and so we're just making it available for you. So our Xanadu iPad app, so over 500 executive MBA students, and it's actually grown quite a bit since then. Now with a lot of the new schools adopted, we're getting feedback more and more and more. I think now we're in our third release of the iPad app. So as we learn more and we see more what students want, we're growing with the trends of seeing. So the tablet delivery, being able to get that content on any device that will accept a PDF. So it's not just your iPads. And a lot of programs I talk to are like, well, we're not ready to support or give iPads out to our students. Well, what's funny is they'll start seeing students that already have these mobile devices. What we wanted to be able to do is allow those students with mobile devices to put that content on their device, no matter what it is, whether it's an iPad, an Android, their laptop. I mean, I even have some students that wanted to put all their course materials on their iPhone. Talk about reading and flipping pages every 3 seconds, but So the enhanced PDFs, so everything that we get in, we do optical character recognition to. We make it a learning experience, so it's not just a flat PDF. It's actually a document that you can go in, and I don't want to say a living and breathing document, but you can search keyword searches. You can highlight with the note-taking. If there's any links within the document, you can click out and it'll automatically, we talk about the instant gratification for the millennials, instantly take them out to the website to wherever that is. If there's an exhibit within a Harvard case, they click on the exhibit, it takes them into the appendix, shows them the exhibit, they can blow it up, do what they need to, then they hit the back button and it takes them right back into the document where they were reading. The LMS integration. We work with a lot of different, Blackboard is one of the largest ones, of course. We extensively through Sakai, Angel, Moodle, Desire to Learn, tons of them. It's pretty much whatever the programs have asked us, we'll go out and figure out a way to make it work. And depending on the structure or how you want it set up, whether it's a student pay model or a program pay model, we try to figure it out to make the easiest way for the students to get their content, so they have one source, one place to go. So if they're going to Blackboard or the LMS system for all their materials, we just want to make it seamless. So they go in, they click onto their class, they click in, there's all their contents, there's their textbooks, whatever they need directly into the device. And then other benefits that we have, business case exhibits in Excel format. We partnered with Harvard. We took the top 100 financial cases. We rekeyed all their content, all the data that the students would normally have to rekey to do homework problems, and now we give it out for free. It's completely included with the digital product. It saves the students hours and hours and hours of rekeying information. Then the Digital Nexus newsletter that we send out just has technology tidbits in it. And then Doug, I'll let you take this one.
Sure. Sorry about the, you got to see a picture here, but I think it provides a graphic of what I've heard about programs, is that basically everybody is fighting to say, hey, how can I position my program to recruit new students, to have happier students, to engage the students, get feedback from them, so it's really, having a positive impact with the students. What can we do to provide more convenience and more engagement and drive better outcomes? That's really the goal that we've heard from programs. And so we're, helping them position themselves more competitively, be able to enable all of these various, new content items to allow for, multiple literacies, various learning styles, really create more engagement for the content. I think the integration of industry-leading technologies. What we've found is that in working with the AMBA space, these are executives that are working for the top technology leaders across the world. They come to your programs and they know what these corporations are incorporating from a technology perspective. So they're learning from each other, and they have very high expectations that if they're leveraging Salesforce as a CRM tool, they are familiar with how to access information over the cloud, and that's their mindset. That's their paradigm that they expect from the top institutions across the country. And so they are really pushing what you all are doing from a technology perspective. I think that they also want the ability to kind of manage their own content, personalize, create their own profiles. What are you doing to enable them to do that? And then finally, how can you leverage technology in the sales process? Is that something that you're actually promoting to students? Are you getting feedback from students to make sure that you're implementing the technology that they want? Students are very resourceful. They're out there developing the solutions themselves if you're not providing for them. It's funny, I've gone to a number of campuses and across the country, and one of the feedback when we were doing some student groups is they said, we've been doing highlighting for a couple of years now. It's great that you all are coming out with it, but there's been ways that, hey, our students will go into the library, they'll scan material, they'll send out files to each other, we'll make highlights, and we'll do these things. And if you're not providing that capability for them, they're going to do it themselves. And so that's really our goal is, hey, let's make your job easier. Let's leverage the expertise of a company that's been doing this for 12 years and work with them to customize it to meet the needs of our students. And the last one here, we were going to play a video, but there's not the best audio. But I think what's most important about what I take from getting feedback from the students is that this specific student basically said, once I was starting to use the iPad app, it definitely engaged me more in the course. It's important for me to be engaged with the course material because it makes a difference between me liking the class and not liking the class. And I think that's a pretty telling quote that's probably pretty similar to what a lot of students think on campus. Having the engagement, the enjoyment of the class is going to have them be more successful. It's going to have them have better outcomes, probably be a better referral source for new students, and it's ultimately going to be something that will help the program overall. So as far as kind of that's the end of our kind of shtick in our presentation, but we did want to give the opportunity to kind of have it be a little bit more engaging, a little opportunity for some of the programs that are in various stages of implementing technology to kind of share their strategies, their successes, challenges, whatever it might be, and certainly wanted to try and kind of open it up to be a little bit more interactive. So with that, I wanted to go ahead and, Liz, if you wouldn't mind kind of kicking this off, but we might have them kind of turn around a little bit so we can all kind of look at each other and talk. Certainly feel free to ask questions, but what we've asked them to do, at least to kind of give us, as a group, a kind of a snapshot as to what they've been doing from a technology perspective, leveraging course materials, strategies, challenges, however they kind of want to share some information with you all. And we wanted to try and have you all, if you've got certain stories or challenges, share those as well. So we'll go ahead and start with Liz, and then we'll have Tammy share her experience. We've got a couple of questions up on the board that kind of will help facilitate the conversation. If you've got some of these questions, we can all kind of interact and engage further. Liz, if you wouldn't mind kind of giving us
My name is Liz Tessie, and I work for the Jones Graduate School of Business at Rice University. I've been there for 5 years, and I work in the Office of Student Residence.